Hey, everybody, it is Trags, Mike Petralia, back with the latest installment of the Code Reds podcast here on the CLNS Media Network. My pleasure to bring in Pat Brennan of the Cincinnati Enquirer and Cincinnati.com, covering the Cincinnati Reds and Major League Baseball. Cheers to you as well, Pat. I know it's early there on the West Coast. Well, not that early. It's at least past 9:30. Have you had your first cup of coffee? Coffee in San Francisco can be a wonderful thing.
It can, and it's in hand right now. Now, this is from the lobby downstairs, but even, the relative quality of coffee here is such that a lobby coffee is still going to get the job done. So,
yeah,
it's great to be. It's great to be on with you. Thanks for having me.
It is great to have you on, and we've got a lot to get to. First of all, how great is Hunter Greene right now, and how important is he to anchoring a Reds team? Forget the pitching staff, but a team that got out of the gate 3-7. Of course, he won Monday night in a fantastic performance.
Yeah.
A four-hitter before he came out of the game with 2 outs in the 8th inning. That gave him 4 wins on the year. But still, a guy like Hunter Greene, he is the anchor. He's the leader that the Reds really signed him to be a couple of years ago.
Yeah, he was so good on Monday, and I thought he was very good on opening day, and I thought he was even better on Wednesday against the Rangers back at GABP. But I've been in the house for all 3 of his starts so far this season, and you could see him building toward a performance like this. Of course, you never expect it when it comes, but up until he got into some trouble with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th last night, he was working on a 3-hit shutout. And even when Terry Francona reluctantly pulled him because he had gotten into too much trouble, and the Reds they needed the win. They could not roll the dice with and leave Hunter in the game there.
Yes,
it was
as Tito said afterward.
Yeah, it was a masterful performance. He just made it look so easy. He actually seemed to get stronger as the game went on, Trags. I'm just looking at my scorecard from last night. 1, 2, 3 innings in the 4th, 5th, 7th, 8th inning. The 7th inning was 6 pitches. It was just – and I think as Terry Francona had also explained kind of the Reds' own hitting approach, I think that was a product. The Giants were not undisciplined. Hunter Greene just had everything working last night. They couldn't work him. The Giants couldn't. And they had to take what he was giving them. And that can produce a 6-pitch inning in the later innings. And just very, very impressive.
I think what impressed me the most, Pat, is the fact that he had 83 pitches through 8 innings. That is Greg Maddux-like. That's what that is. It's Greg Maddux-esque performance last night from Hunter Greene. It's so rare. And I was listening to Tommy Thrall on the broadcast and Jim Day on the broadcast on the radio side, and they were talking about how impressive it was that Hunter Greene was within 1 out of picking up the Reds' first complete game shutout since Wade Miley's no-hitter in 2021. That's how long it's been. That's nearly 4 years since the Reds have had a complete game shutout, let alone anything better than that.
I mean, that just goes to accentuate how impressive last night was. Complete game shutouts, complete games, period. It's not right. The modern game is not built for that. Or at least it's not managed that way. But, I was watching. Hunter just looked so good early on, and you're always watching the pitcher's pitch count, but it was always in that range. And then he was getting quick innings in the middle innings and the 7th inning, like I said, and you thought he could do this here. And it just felt totally justified because he had pitched so well. He deserved the chance to go out and try to finish it off. And, you couldn't not send him out with that sum of pitches going into the 9th, given what he'd accomplished to that point. And he was so close to doing it. But just a stellar night for Hunter Greene. They finally made the thing that I think is important is that the position players defensively and at the plate made it stand up for the first time, because he had, Hunter Greene could be 3-0 right now. Probably
Easily.
deserves to be. Certainly deserves to be. And these games have just gotten away. Ian Jabot on opening day. Obviously, Hunter Greene lost a win through that. I had to go. I looked back at the stats from the Rangers game the other night. He was excellent against the Rangers. 2 hits, 1 run, and he lost that game. He was rewarded with an L for that performance. So this guy was overdue, and through a combination of clutch hitting, some small ball, some effective sacrifice bunting, the Reds just found a way to get Hunter Greene the win he deserved.
Before you dropped your cell phone in the midst of recording postgame last night in the clubhouse, you asked a terrific question of Hunter Greene. That was you who dropped the cell phone, right?
Yes. I put it down at my side. It's a really tight clubhouse. Santiago Espinal, Hunter Greene was like directing traffic and letting players pass through the gaggle of media members. So when Santiago Espinal had to pass through to get out of the place, I put it down at my side. I didn't realize.
So anybody who's wondering what the hell is Trags talking about, go to Cincinnati.com because your video of the interview with Hunter Greene is up there and definitely worthwhile. And in that video, you are asking Hunter about his secondary stuff. The first 2 starts, he said that he really didn't feel like he had total command of his secondary. And when he eventually gets that, he'll really be able to get into the groove. Lo and behold, what happened Monday night? He had better secondary stuff, and you saw the results. Not only was he effective in getting batters out, but he was efficient in getting batters out, as we just spoke a couple of minutes ago. And I thought that was a great point by you in asking Hunter, what did he say about having his secondary stuff and how important that was to his performance last night and going forward?
Yeah, I mean, the difference between really good Hunter Greene and excellent, like the best version of Hunter Greene, is the secondary stuff. And having that, I think the first 2 starts, like we already discussed, he was great on opening day. He was great against the Rangers in the next turn through the rotation. And the difference between those games and last night was that the secondary stuff was on. And Hunter just said, that's what you need to get deep into a ball game, not just against a major league opponent, but keep in mind now, and this is an interesting thing because the Reds their schedule has shaped up into probably one of the more challenging schedules in the opening weeks of the season that we'll see across baseball, because you've got the Giants for 6 out of 13 or 14, whatever it is. The Brewers, who is a problem for them. I don't know how good the Brewers are.
Very much so.
It's a problem for the Reds. And then the Rangers, who are they look like a good team. They're supposed to be a good team this year anyway. And the pitching was certainly good when they played them at GABP. So the Giants actually, there's so much buzz around the Dodgers right now. The Giants actually came into play last night, not just leading the Dodgers in the NL West and leading the division, but they had the best record in baseball. So the Giants are a really, really hot team right now. We'll see what happens over the course of the season, obviously. But, for Hunter to go deep in a game against that Giants team, the secondary stuff had to be on. Had it not been, we might have seen higher strikeouts from Hunter and, 6, 7, maybe that length of a performance. But you cannot keep a talented lineup like that off balance in the manner he did unless he's able to work, every angle. And he was.
Yeah, I also we got a taste of Terry Francona pumping up his guy late in that game when he took him out. The quote was, and it was picked up over the TV,
Yeah.
That was effing awesome.
Yeah.
And that was Terry. That is quintessential Terry Francona.
Yeah.
Pumping up his guy, using the F-bombs. He's not afraid to do that, especially in the dugout. I don't think Terry knew. I don't think Tito knew the mic was hot necessarily. But at that point, he doesn't give a shit. I mean, he's going to say what he's going to say to his ball player, pump him up, and make him feel good. The fact of the matter is Tito did not want to have to go out to the mound. Hunter knew that he didn't want to go out to the mound. They wanted him to complete that game. But like you said at the beginning, Pat, the Reds needed that win a lot more than Hunter Greene needed a complete game.
Yeah. And I want to give Terry Francona some credit there because I think, a manager might be inclined in, the first week of April to just let Hunter try to finish that game out last night. I've seen a lot of criticism of Terry Francona early on here in the Red season. The fact that he was willing to manage against his own emotions last night. First of all,
right.
that's a kind of discipline. He gets it. He's really in tune with the heartbeat of this team right now. And I think he said it so well after the game, Terry Francona did. Winning is hard for us right now. It doesn't mean we can't. It's just hard for us right now. And I think that is so true. Obviously, you can see it every night. They really have to grind for these wins, with exception to the one win against Texas where Ellie went off. And, I just thought that was a really intuitive decision by Terry and pretty nuanced, even though he only needed one out from Tony Santillan to get the save and to close out the win against the Giants. I think that shows that Terry, if there was any doubt, and I don't think there should be, but if you had a doubt, I don't think you need to worry about Terry Francona's ability to manage this team because that was a really deft move last night. I think a lot of managers, even as Hunter Greene worked himself into a sticky situation and the would-be game-winning run came to the plate in the ninth inning, I think the decision to lift him with 2 outs in the ninth is a great, probably overlooked, small but great overlooked managerial move by Terry. And I thought I was impressed by Terry to make that call because that was a big one. I mean, that would have been that game would have been a bullet point on the resume of Hunter Greene's young career. And he doesn't get the counting stat of having the complete game. And that's significant, that's really significant.
It is. But, Hunter understood that. And
he did. Sure.
Tito was willing to go when Lee got the base hit to extend the ninth inning with 2 outs. Tito's like, okay, I'll give him this guy because the worst thing that can happen is it's a tie game. Yeah. But when he lost him to a walk and there were runners on first and second, Tito said, okay, I'm done. We need to win the game.
Yeah.
And I think Francona, in his heart of hearts, knew that going into the ninth. As soon as the go-ahead run got to the plate, he was not going to let Hunter Greene, lay one over the plate at 98 and have the game end on one swing. And the Reds are like dumbfounded in the clubhouse. He wasn't going to allow that to happen. So again, to your point, give him credit. I want to ask you about the brouhaha, and we have to talk about this, of Hunter Greene's glove in the first inning. Was it gamesmanship on the part of the San Francisco Giants? Was it a legitimate concern because of the sheen of the glove, which Tomas Veras tried to mitigate in the middle of the game, and then Hunter said, "Screw it, I'm just going with my the replacement glove, which was more a traditional glove, beige in color." So what was your read on that? What was the mood in the clubhouse about that incident after the game?
It actually didn't come up after the game, and I think I wish it had. A lot happened during the course of the game to get away from that. Obviously, that was right before first pitch. In the moment, I can tell you what my read was. I thought, surely this is gamesmanship. we'd seen this before. The moment that jumped out to me, obviously slightly more historical and significant, was Roger Clemens going for his 300th win at Yankee Stadium, and
great point.
He had a commemorative patch on the backside of his glove.
That's a great call, Pat.
And I think this might have been against the Red Sox, and maybe Francona was. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at the details. Francona might have been managing that game. I don't know. But they made Roger Clemens take that glove off with the commemorative 300th win patch, and I thought that was clearly gamesmanship, and no team wanted to be disrespected in that way. Rogers practically celebrating his 300th win already. So anyway, I thought it was gamesmanship. But then I was sitting next to Larry Herms, esteemed Reds media relations expert and guru, and he was pulling up some rules, and apparently the glove that Hunter wanted to pitch with would have been outside the confines of the laws of the game. I think it's idiotic and stupid if that was the case. And I don't actually know. Sometimes people on TV get a lot more insight into these things.
Oh no, there's no question about that. I can attest to that, having been in many press boxes in my day.
Yes. So I actually don't. You might know, and because it didn't come up after the game last night, Hunter went on and pitched one of the games of his career. So, I don't think too many of us were worried about the glove, but it was a moment in the night, and I wonder, did they say on the broadcast?
Your colleague Dave Clark had this in Cincinnati.com on Tuesday, as we record this podcast, and want to give credit, full marks to Dave Clark for getting this out there.
Yeah.
FanDuel Sports Network reporter Jim Day explained why the umpire told Greene he could not use the red Nike glove he wore to start the game and had to instead use a beige glove. Quote, the webbing on his glove had designs on it, Day said during the broadcast. I guess that was somehow a no-no, even though tough to see. The glove doctor on this team, as I mentioned earlier, is one of the athletic trainers, Tomas Vera. He's going to work on it right now, actually cut the web off completely of the glove. They're going to have to cover that up, the shininess as well, because Hunter's obviously game glove is much needed for a player, and it's all about comfort level. They're going to work on it right now. So it was twofold: the outline of the Nike logo and the designs on the webbing. Now, what's interesting to me, Pat, is what analyst Jeff Brantley, former closer, had to say about it. He said the glove was the same one Greene used in his first two starts of the season. We've seen guys on the mound that have had camouflage gloves. Brantley said there was no issue. I can see what and then Day added, I can see what they mean by the outline of the Nike logo. There was some shininess to that. It could be distracting, but the designs on the webbing, it's just ridiculous. Is that the first glove that Nike's ever made for a major league pitcher? And a major league player, I'm sorry. Brantley asked. You would think that they know the difference between what's acceptable and what's not at this point. How foolish. I'd imagine for Hunter, he'd just as soon say, this is my glove. It's made by a manufacturer that makes tons of Major League Baseball stuff. I can wear it out in the game. And then, so this is Hunter Greene to Jim Day after the game, before he came into the clubhouse, Pat, and that's why we have this quote. I'm trying to be politically correct here, but I don't agree with it. Greene told Jim Day after the game. I'm definitely going to talk to MLB about it. They said that they didn't like some of the logos on my glove. I've pitched with those same gloves for the last 2 years. So for it to be something new, I don't agree with that. But, obviously it didn't take me off my game. I still went out there and competed. So that's Glovegate 2025.
Unbelievable.
Per Hunter Greene. So,
a pitcher with less mental fortitude, it could have all gone sideways right there.
Yes, I was just going to say that. Yeah,
it's silly. It is an entirely silly episode, but Hunter Greene is so locked in right now. Yes, it could have gone sideways for a lesser pitcher, but Hunter Greene is just so good right now. Something stupid like that is not going to faze him.
By the way, let's finish up some bookkeeping here. The New York Post headline from May 27th, 2003. No glove lost between Raj and the Sox. I love their headlines. Boston manager Grady Little protested before Roger Clemens' opening pitch. So the year before Tito got to Boston, it was Grady Little. We all know how that season ended.
All right.
Protested before Clemens' opening pitch, complaining about a white patch on the back of Clemens' glove. So that was way back in May of 2003, so some 22 years ago. Boy, I can't believe time flies. But I would have been at that game, covering that game. You would think I would remember that, Pat. But I wanted to.
These are significant, but they're just moment. Like. Then Clemens had to go and you covered a game a full game. So I can see how these things get overlooked. But so no one said the Giants instigated this. And I noticed home plate umpire John Tumpane went over to the Giants clubhouse dugout, and it looked like he was explaining the situation to them, which in the moment gave me the sense that they had not instigated it. Now, maybe I don't know what
I say this because I was listening to Tommy Thrall's broadcast of the game. I was not in front of the television when that happened.
Yeah.
And when he talked about it, and Tommy Thrall said that it was the Giants who instigated the claim, brought it to the umpire's attention before the game, and then forced Hunter in the middle of warm-ups to change out the glove. And maybe that's gamesmanship, try to get a little bit of an edge off of Hunter Greene, and in this particular case it may have backfired on the Giants.
When you described it, with Tommy setting the scene like that makes it, I'd be willing to bet that was gamesmanship. And if I were the Giants, and bear in mind, these teams just saw each other like 10 days ago, right? So they would have pocketed, maybe a little something from Hunter's last start, hey, that glove looks whatever, and applied that last night. That makes sense. But if I were them, to your point just now, I would not have risked firing Hunter up. And he wasn't I just wouldn't have gone there.
I wouldn't have done that. I get why they're doing it. Maybe they think they can get under Hunter's skin a little bit and get him off his game, but I think it really refocused him, obviously. All right, on to other subjects.
Yes.
I'm not as worried about this Reds ball club coming out of their offensive doldrums after 10 days, after, what is it now, 11 games, as I was last year. When the Reds were putting up historically putrid offensive numbers in 2024, I'm like, this is bad. They are hitting something, I think it was like they were hitting under 200 as a team 3 weeks into the season. Right now, the Cincinnati Reds are hitting 207 as a team. The reason I'm not as concerned about that is I think they are healthier. I think when Tyler Stevenson and Austin Hayes get back into the lineup, I think that's going to be a big boon. We're starting to see Spencer Steer come around a little bit. I also think that's going to be a big improvement for the Reds offense as a whole. Ellie De La Cruz is hitting 256. I think he's going to continue to get better. Matt McLean is hitting 214. He's not going to hit 214 all season.
No.
But perhaps most importantly, Pat, the opposition, the Reds are hitting 207. You want to take a guess what the opposition is batting against Cincinnati pitching?
190.
Oh, very close. 194. 194.
I mean, that's insane. That's insane.
Reds pitchers, they're 4-7. They have a 3.09 ERA, and all of their pitchers have whips under 1.1. That's like mind-boggling. right now. And I don't know, that's certainly not going to continue.
No.
But the point is, I think the pitching is the pitching. I think they're going to be very good in the pitching department. And I think eventually the hitting's going to come around. That's why a 3-7 or a 4-7 start doesn't concern me this early in the season.
Yeah.
Now, if they're 10 to 15 games under 500 a week into May, we can come back and have a different conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, the old adage, you can't win anything in April, but you can lose it all. Which is true. You just have to tread water at these early stages of the season. Yeah. I think if you know, the Reds have put themselves in a really good position out here in the Bay Area, if they can get a series win against this Giants team coming back to GABP this weekend, can't wait to see you, by the way. I think they will be. I mean, that's one of the best series wins for any team anywhere in baseball so far this year, to come into Oracle Park, where they just had a raucous opening weekend sweep of the Mariners. Like, it looked like the best time in baseball, frankly. If they can get out of here with the series, and even if they don't, like you said, there are underlying numbers that point to plenty of things going in the right direction for this Reds team. It's just too early to get worked up about this stuff. Yeah, I completely agree with you.
I think the sample size is so small. I mean, The Athletic did a nice job of trying to extrapolate some of the numbers actually that do matter early in the season. I don't know if you saw that, but it was interesting in terms of slugging, on base percentage, and extrapolating that over the course of past performance and past career performances. So, go there and take a look at that. But I just wouldn't get that worked up about where the Reds are offensively yet.
Yeah, and no one's going to argue the point that they're squandering some excellent starting pitching right now, and it would be really nice to bag some of those games in the win column at this stage. But there is just 151 games left in the season. There's plenty of time to get these things worked out. And I think the big thing for you, obviously, it can't be to say it's a big thing is an understatement. Tyler Stevenson, Austin Hayes. Let's just drop in there, Trags, that on Monday, yesterday, Tyler Stevenson was cleared to begin baseball activities in his recovery process, and Austin Hayes could report to Louisville if he stays on track today, and we'll see about it when we go talk to Terry later on this afternoon. But Austin Hayes could report to Louisville and then see actual AAA game action as early as Thursday night with the Bats. So he's close if he stays on track.
Calves are tricky things, and you do not want to run, because we've seen in the past, seen it on the other side with the other team you cover. You do not want to risk serious injury to the lower body and soft tissue. What is the latest on Matt McLain? You think?
Matt was obviously it was interesting because I didn't, my colleague Gordon Whitmire and I, we're tag teaming some of the away coverage. It'll be mostly Gordon, I think, but he was in Milwaukee, so I wasn't on the ground for kind of to see the Matt McLain stuff playing out in person, but he was running in the outfield in short right field yesterday, and they really kind of slow played the release of their starting lineup last night against the Giants just to wait and see what McLain would do. And obviously he did not start, was available to pinch hit. I think as long as he's available in some capacity off the bench, that's always a good sign.
He last played Friday night pinch hitter in the ninth inning, fly ball deep center field.
So you're right, yeah. He hasn't started since Thursday at Milwaukee. The longer it goes on, the more concerned
Yes.
the more concern there is. But
I mean, he's your best all-around player.
I think, the fact that they're not ruling him out entirely from these games and he is available to come in off the bench to pinch hit, and the opportunity just really didn't come up last night. That's a good thing, I think, just in terms of the availability there. They're not ruling him out completely like they did with, say, a Jake Fraley last night, who's going to be examined this morning.
The injuries continue to pile up on this team.
Yeah,
and
it was a lot.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I just, you've sat in a few Terry Francona office meetings with reporters, and he is not, I don't want to say the wrong thing here. He doesn't often volunteer information, but he's not being evasive. He's not hiding. You just need to prompt him and prompt him well. Yesterday before the game, he was, I think I asked him about how Tyler Stevenson's MRI went, and then he went on and he was asked about Andrew Abbott, and then he started volunteering Andrew Hayes, and you're just listening to the go through the checklist, and it's like, wow, man, there's a lot of moving parts for this stage of the season. The injury comings and goings on this team are quite a thing right now, and it is impacting what we're seeing on the field, obviously.
When you talk Major League Sports these days, soft tissue injuries are an issue. We understand that. But with a guy like Matt McLain, when your best players are not available, red flags start to go up, and they are not available on a consistent basis every season. Seems to be an issue.
Yeah.
At least fans are the ones listening to this right now.
Yeah.
Fans start to go, is this always going to be the case with Matt McLain? And in years past with old Reds teams, they're like, well, the Big Red Machine, the 90s Reds, the Reds of the 2010s, were there this many soft tissue injuries? And fans begin to wonder. That's, why I bring it up.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's a totally fair question, Trags. But I guess looking for the silver lining, I think the fact that he is available in some capacity.
Agreed.
I think that he, you do not want to get in the habit of inferring things as a reporter. But
no, you certainly don't. I understand that.
If I'm reading his body language after the decision was made yesterday, he wanted to go. Okay,
well then that's a good sign, and it's still early in the season.
I believe
the weather is what the weather is, and you don't want to get out there, whether it's out in San Francisco or heaven knows. We've had cold weather here while you've been sunning yourself out by the bay. We've been dealing with 25-degree temperatures at midnight. So there is that to deal with. What else do you have on your plate? Anything else you're working on while you're out there, Pat?
Well, just, I think we talked before we started recording, just trying to survive the environment that I'm in right now. And yeah, just, this is my first year on the Reds beat, and just still making my way around the clubhouse, introducing myself to the clubbies and people in the organization. So I am constantly in motion on this trip. This is not I wish I could sun myself. And by the way, Trags, what the temperature, it was rainy. Yes, remember, that marine layer thing they talk about?
Yes, I'm very aware.
Pretty thick marine layer yesterday. Sun couldn't pierce it, so there was no sunning. By the way, just
but that wouldn't keep Pat Brennan from seeking out a sun salon, right? A tanning salon, right?
I don't primp that much.
All right.
It also it was typical of last night. Was one of those like bundle up at
the old Candlestick Park days, which I assume you never made it out to Candlestick Park.
I didn't, but I got the full Bay Area baseball experience last night, and it was cool. I loved it. I always wondered, like, What's it like to go to, I've been to playoff games and cold weather games, but what's it like to go to a Giants game in the warmer weather months and have to bundle up like it's the dead of winter? I got the experience last night. It was cold in the press box.
Was it? And they opened the windows?
Oh, the windows were wide open. I don't think you can do anything but. They closed the windows after the game. They're so scratched up, I don't think you'd be able to see through them to watch the game and cover it. Yeah. Which is a little striking. So you've got one option there, and it's not like they were pumping heat into that baby. So I would be like this the whole time.
You know how me and my hoodies, right?
Yeah.
I hate anything on the back of my neck. I get really, really, really cold. So.
Yeah. So, we had to handle adversity in the press box last night, and, we had to stick to the plan, but I think we handled adversity. I did.
You handle adversity exceptionally well, Pat. You are one of the most level-headed human beings I have ever met. And with that, we're going to wrap up this episode of the Code Reds podcast. Please do make sure you follow Pat Brennan at Cincinnati.com and the Cincinnati Enquirer for all of his terrific coverage of the Cincinnati Reds. He and, of course, Gordon Wittenmeyer on the Reds beat for Cincinnati.com. He is Pat Brennan. My name is Mike Petralia, Trags. Thanks for downloading this episode of the Code Reds podcast on the CLNS Media Network.